So let's talk about the Epic Game Store and why PC gamers are definitely overreacting to the Epic Game Store popping up, having all these games that are exclusive to the Epic Game Store, and you have a lot of PC gamers that are very very unhappy with this, saying that it's anti-consumer, it's not right. They should just have the game on Steam, or at the very least, if they're going to have the game on Epic Game Store, at least let us know that it's going to be on there, instead of what they did with Metro Exodus, where they just randomly pulled it from Steam and said, oh no, we're on Epic Game Store. That I can understand why people aren't happy with, because it's kind of like you expected it to be on Steam, but now it's on Epic Game Store. But if these PC gamers are all about pro-consumerism and all that kind of stuff, you get a $10 discount out of the whole deal. If it was on Steam, you would have had to pay $60, because Steam takes a much larger cut than Epic Game Store does. I mean, the whole point of Epic Game Store and Discord existing is to compete with Steam, and by competing with Steam, in order to do that, they take a much lower percentage than Valve does. So in this case, you're saving $10 on a brand new game, and you find some way to complain and not be happy about it. That whole Metro Exodus controversy, I have to say, was way overblown. I understand some people aren't happy about the way they did it specifically, but you did get a few days warning, and they are honoring all Steam purchases, so at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. Maybe they should have given a little bit of a longer notice, because like I said, it was just a few days before they just pulled it off of Steam that they announced that they were going to Epic Game Store. But at the end of the day, you guys are all pro-consumer and everything. You guys advocate for pro-consumer things. Well, you get $10 off your game. Isn't cheaper games something you guys always strive for? So, what's the problem here? You guys like it when games are cheaper. You guys say that games are way too expensive. Well, this seems like you guys should be happy about this, but no. You find some way to not be. And, not for nothing, but why do you need Steam? I understand Steam has a lot of features. I'm not trying to say that Steam is, obsolete or anything like that. But rather, I'm trying to ask, why is Steam so important that every single game must be on Steam? You do realize that you could just, add non-Steam games to your library. If you're really concerned about just having everything in one place, being able to talk to your friends, Steam will launch most of these games for you. Sure, you won't have achievements and everything, but the in-game overlay you'll be able to have, and you'll be able to have some type of Steam integration with the game. I do not have any problem whatsoever with having all these different launchers on my computer. I know most people, or maybe not most people, because the money talks, and the money shows. You look at what Ubisoft's doing with Uplay, or more importantly, what EA's doing with Origin, and even Battle.net and all these other, it's not hurting their sales at all, not having the game on Steam. And if it did, they could easily make up that loss by the amount of money that they make without having to pay Valve. What do they need Valve for? Why does EA need Valve? Ubisoft puts their games on Steam. Well, not anymore. They put it on Epic Game Store. And that's another funny thing. They decide we're putting Division 2 on Epic Game Store. It's not going to be on Steam. And they just announced they received more pre-orders for the Division 2, which is exclusively on Epic Game Store, and it's also on Uplay. But Division 1 was on Steam and Uplay, and Division 2 has more pre-orders on PC than Division 1. So to those of you who are upset, outraged, angry, any type of negative feeling towards games being on Epic Game Store, or these companies having their own launchers like Battle.net, Origin, Bethesda.net, Microsoft Store, my question for you is, why the hell should they listen to you? For one thing, a lot of people who complain on the internet are just going to buy the game anyway. And even for those of you who don't, they're still going to make their money back by a lot, because they don't have to share their money with Valve. That 20-25% cut that Valve gets off of the games, that's eliminated now. They get, with EA Origin, they get all the profits. With Fortnite, Epic Games gets all the profits. And you could say that's greedy if you want, sure, but again, I don't know necessarily if it's greedy or if it's just good business, if it's smart business. Because if they don't need Valve, why should they use Valve? You know what I'm saying? Why should they put their games on Steam if they don't need Steam to succeed? It's kind of stupid. PC gaming is this open ecosystem. You PC gamers brag about how open and free PC gaming is. Well, this is one of those, I guess you could say, downsides of that, even though I don't really see a big deal out of it, but a lot of you people do. Well, a lot of these same people brag about how open and free PC gaming is. Well, it being open and free also allows for more companies to get involved in the PC gaming ecosystem than just Valve. I mean, Valve used to make their own games. Now they just sit on piles and piles of cash. So the very worst thing that's going to happen out of Epic Game Store existing and actually competing with Steam and having real legitimate competitors to Steam, because Origin and Microsoft Store, Battle.net, you can't call them competitors to Steam. They mostly just release their own first-party titles on their store. And when it comes to third-party support, Steam is still king. But when Epic Game Store and Discord are starting to try to really compete with Steam, that's a great thing, because at the very worst, maybe Valve will actually try to be more competitive. And yes, Epic Games signing exclusivity deals, you're like, that's not real competition, that's like, that's not fair. Well, look at every industry that has competition in it. They all use exclusive content to attract customers to their platform over the other, because if they just have the same stuff, then what's the point of using their service over your service? It doesn't work without exclusive content. Exclusive content is the driving force behind competition. If Hulu and Netflix just had the same shows, if Sony and Microsoft just had the same games on all their consoles, then there would be no point in multiple consoles existing. And I am a big critic of those who are anti-exclusive games, because these tend to be people who don't understand basic economics, who don't understand the industry and how it works. And that's not meant as like some kind of an insult, it's just how it is. If you honestly think that the industry would be better off without exclusive content, what PC, console, or otherwise, or any industry, movie industry, TV industry, music, if you honestly think that competition can exist without exclusive content, then you simply do not understand basic economics. And that's what it boils down to. And that's one thing I'm well known for when it comes to my advocacy for exclusive games and why they're great for the economy, why they're great for the gaming industry. And it's really no different with PC. It's actually even better for PC gamers, because it's pretty much a win-win situation if you're on PC. If you're on consoles, and let's say you buy the PlayStation 5 at launch when it comes out, and you decide, I'm not going to get the Xbox, I just want the PS5. You might get the new Last of Us game. Let's say you get a new Little Big Planet game, and I'm just throwing random games out there, like known exclusives that Sony comes out with. Let's say they make a new Uncharted game down the line, and you get access to all those games, Spider-Man 2, Insomniac games, right? You'd get access to all these games, but then by not having an Xbox console, you would not be able to play the new Halo game. You would not be able to play the new Gears of War game. You would not be able to play all these other games that are exclusive to the Xbox console. So when it comes to exclusive content on consoles, it's a little bit more, iffy, because the price of entry is very, very, very high if you want to buy a console just to play one game. Let's say you really just want to play The Last of Us. You don't really care about the other games that are out exclusively on the PlayStation. Yeah, you're not really into Spider-Man. You don't really care about superheroes, but you're into like that post-apocalyptic zombie type thing. So you want to get the new Last of Us or Days Gone or whatever game. You'd be spending presumably $400 to $500 on a new console. We still don't know quite how much the console's going to cost, but assuming PSVR is included, it's going to land you at least $500, but they might sell a bundle that's $400. So let's just say $400 just to be generous. It might even be more than that. Let's just say $400. $60 for that new game, so it's $460. And then if you want to play the game online with your friends, that's another $60. So you're going to be spending over $600, almost $600, on just one game that you want to play. Because you'd be spending about $400 on the console, then it'd be $460 buying the new game, and then it'd be about $520. So it'd be a little bit over $500, but let's say if the console actually cost $500, then it would be well over $600, which is crazy to some people. And I understand why people are against console exclusives, but PC exclusives, like I'm not talking about exclusive games that are only on the PC. I mean exclusive content that's only on one store and not the other. It's really not a big deal at all. The worst thing you have to do is download another launcher. Oh my god, I hate having more than one launcher on my PC. It's just an inconvenience. I don't like it. Wah. It all sounds like entitlement to me, because literally that's the only thing you have to deal with. Oh, I have to create an Epic Games account. I have to download the Epic Games launcher. Oh my god, my life is over. But you can still play the game with ease. You don't have to pay a subscription. You don't have to pay for brand new hardware. You already have the hardware. You just need to download the client, and that's it. So I honestly believe that this is just not a big issue. People are definitely harping on it way too much. And I think it's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, you keep hearing people complaining about Steam having actual competition. But what has Valve been doing in the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years? They've just been sitting on piles of cash. They've had no reason to really do anything competitive. I mean, they have these nice refund policies and all these other kind of things. But they're making so much damn money off of all that money that they take in from software sales that they don't really need to do anything else. So they have no reason to make new games. You ever wonder why Valve hasn't made new games since Counter-Strike Go? That's why. Because they have literally no incentive to do it. Maybe at the very worst, Valve will actually be forced to be more competitive. And by being more competitive, maybe they'll start making games again. Wouldn't that be great? Maybe you'll get your Team Fortress 3. Maybe you'll get your Left 4 Dead 3. That's something you guys always wanted, right? Well, this is probably your best damn chance of getting it right now, when the PC gaming market's becoming more and more competitive, and Valve is potentially going to lose more and more market share to these competitors. And when I mean competitors, I mean Epic Games and Discord. Because Origin and Uplay, they're not really competitors. Battle.net's not really competitor, like I said. They're more of just trying to break away from Valve instead of trying to take on Valve. It's a difference, right? What Epic Games is doing and what Discord is doing is they are taking Valve on head on. And like I said, I think Discord has the best potential here to really give Steam a run for their money. But who knows? Maybe Epic Games, maybe they could rebrand themselves, not call themselves the Epic Games Store anymore, so they're not directly associated with Fortnite and all that kind of stuff. And they just rename it to like something that, and they act more serious. They rename it to something that actually shows that they're serious about it. And it's not just about boosting the Epic Games brand, and it's more about actually competing with Steam. And by also doing that, they have more features like an actual chat, a better friend system, have features that are competitive with Steam and Discord, because Discord has features that are very competitive with Steam. Discord's definitely a more modern experience. It's a more social experience than Steam, and that's kind of why I think that Discord has the best shot at dethroning Valve. But ultimately, I think no matter who it is that's competing, competition is always a good thing. You might not like some of the things that they do in order to compete, but overall competition, even indirect competition like Origin, is good for the industry and is good for the consumer. Not a bad thing. So stop with the brand loyalty. I think it's funny how so many PC gamers talk about, oh, it's so stupid how these console fanboys are loyal to their little plastic boxes. They're loyal to Sony. They're loyal to Microsoft. But you have a good portion of people in the PC community, in the PC master race, that just have blind loyalty to Valve for no good reason. They're a corporation. They don't owe you anything. And, talking about pro-consumer, like I said, even companies like EA, you might not like them, but with them being able to have their own service like Origin, they're able to come out with services like Origin Access, because they don't have to share the money with Valve. They reap all the profits. And you say, oh, that might be a greedy thing, but really it's a good thing, because then now Origin Access exists. They were able to, because they cut off the middleman, they were able to come out with new things and services like this, and they're able to actually make profit off of it. They, it seems like, oh, they might give away all their games, and they charge such a cheap price, $30 a year, But they're able to make a profit off of that because, again, there's no middlemen. They don't have to share their profits with Valve. And that's why you have Origin access, and that's why you have $100 a year access to all the new EA games and most of the DLC. So, yeah, I mean, I think what's risen out of this is definitely a good thing for consumers, and isn't something that people should necessarily complain about. I think this is something that people should embrace instead of resist. But I will agree with you that, let's say, for example, the Bethesda launcher is completely unnecessary. Battle.net's a different thing because it's kind of existed since prior to Steam. They've been doing Battle.net since the 1990s, so you can't say Blizzard should put their games on Steam because they've been doing Battle.net for even longer than Steam's been a thing. And with Microsoft Store, you can't say that's a bad thing because, again, they want a piece of the pie. They're the reason why PC gaming exists in the first place. It's their platform, Windows. And they have the right to release their exclusive games on their own store instead of sharing their profits with Valve, because Valve really has... They have no reason to have to work with Valve. And you can say the Windows Store sucks, but if it sucks so bad, then get an Xbox One and don't play the Xbox exclusives on PC, I guess. But I do think Origin's an awesome service. I love Steam. I love Discord. I could use Battle.net, and I think Epic Games Store, while it needs some fine-tuning and some work, I think it's a okay platform. I don't think it's something worth complaining about, especially since it results in lower prices and a lot of good pro-consumer things. People like to harp on the things like no user reviews and all that, but there are plenty of other outlets like Metacritic that you're able to review games on, and it's just not that big of a deal in my opinion. But I do agree Bethesda launcher is total crap, and I might make a separate video on that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm sure some of what I said in this video is a bit controversial, a little distasteful to some people, but I felt like it needed to be said because while I do sympathize with people like they don't want all these launchers, I do think they kind of go a little bit too far sometimes.